I should state that I was going to put this on Let's Not Meet, but it's not exactly scary when I was reading through it. One day in my high school days, my best friend, who I will be calling Vince, came to me telling me he got a new girlfriend, a girl I knew in primary school. This girl, who I'll be calling Dee Dee, wasn't really smart, talented, or didn't even look that good. Ultimately, me or my other best friend, I'll be calling him Dustin, never understood why he would even give her the time of day. She was a shitty girlfriend to him, and even though Vince was getting treated like absolute garbage, he stayed with her. He looked visually drained and sullen, like someone sucked all of the happiness from him. He was normally the most upbeat of the three of us, but he just seemed depressed. Often she would force him to come upstairs to the fire exit to do what I recently found out was grinding on him and not taking no for an answer, which is no rape, but is fucked up. She was controlling, for instance, whenever we would talk about more nerdy things like Transformers or Star Wars. Dee Dee would always tell him to change the subject to something like Disney sitcoms. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, she was immature as fuck for her age. She was obsessed with Disney sitcoms and characters and still carried a bag with Hannah Montana memorabilia on it in her final year of high school. She slowly started to get more annoying, and it got worse when we found out she was being abusive towards him, stealing his money, forcing him to lie to his parents, and sometimes come to school with no money at all, and not even getting lunch for days. Dee Dee also had no hygiene ever as she never even took care of her hair, making it always seem scrawny, but I'm not going to compare it to a rat because I've kept rats as pets that had nicer coats, and she would always backwash left of bits of food into her drink and made Vince drink it too to look more romantic. It was disgusting and always made me and Dustin to cringe in the literal definition. You need to understand I had no break from this girl and her obnoxious antics as I had a drama class with her that had a double period on Fridays between break and lunch, the time me and our friends would hang out. I would hang out with my other friends in this class, the closest one I'll be calling Jennifer, and she plays an important part in the events to come. Whenever me and Dustin would see her do bad shit to Vince, we would scold her and chew her out for it. She always got huffy and rolled her eyes like she's a little kid. She also had a nasty habit of convincing the faculty that we were bullying her. She wasn't that smart, so she wasn't that persuasive, but she was nearly blind, deaf in one ear, and wasn't that smart, so I'm assuming they felt guilty for her. I remember a total of 10 times me and Dustin had to clear things up with the teachers. One day, while Dee Dee's group was performing in my drama class, her best friend, I'll be calling Megan, told me she had something to confide in my about the relationship Vince and Dee Dee were in. She unloaded to me that Dee Dee has been cheating on Vince for months with multiple men and posting nudes of herself on Pakistani message boards. Keep in mind she is 16 at the time. I had no problem believing this, as one time Vince told me at Dee Dee's party she was flirting with other men. Megan was starting to tear up. She was normally an angry person, but this must be some sort of rebound off of her recent suicide attempt. I gave her a hug and thanked her for the information. My next move was personally planned. I used my prefect abilities to allow my friend to cut in line to the front and get his lunch while Dee Dee was in the back. After he got it, I took him to Megan so she could tell her what she told me. He was in denial at first, but slowly accepted the fact. I went back to Dustin and this guy that I could call a friend who hung out with us on and off and told them to tell Dee Dee that Vince wasn't feeling well, and I took him to the nurse. I took him to Jennifer's table to crash. Jennifer's table was all the way at the other end of the school, so I was fairly confident that Dee Dee couldn't find us. We talked it out, and he told me with worry heavy in his voice, "I don't know what I'm going to do, man." I suggested that he breaks up with her on Monday. Vince did so and returned to his old self, happy and optimistic. She supposedly had a meltdown when Dee Dee was told, and stayed at home for the week. Unfortunately, when the next week came, he started going out with her again. I was told it was because he heard rumors of Dee Dee killing herself and him not wanting that on his conscience. It was worse the second time. She was more irritating and aggressive than even. Sometimes for days we wouldn't see him at break because of her dragging him along. Eventually he found out she was cheating on him again, and he ended. This time it was a longer break. About 2 months were left in school. This is when it starts to get creepy. After that breakup, she starts running towards him and hugging, saying, "You're my boyfriend," in a childlike manner. It always ended with me calling Megan to come pry Dee Dee off and Dee Dee screaming, "That's my boyfriend!" Oh, and if you're wondering why a teacher never got involved when it came to this, we were in a secluded spot. It got so fucking annoying we relocated to another of our friends' table. She would always try the same shit, forcing Yus to enter a sort of close ranks position, which had fill up all the seats and have someone behind him, thus assuring she couldn't latch on to him. She sent him text ranging from, "I love you, please come back," to, "Fuck you and your family, I hope you all die." One even saying, "I'll kill you with a box cutter one day at school," which I doubted because she was scrawny and thin, weak like a bug. I confronted Dee Dee on it one-on-one, asking her why she's so duplicitous. She spun a BS yarn about how she has two sides to her, one good like an angel and one bad like a demon. She told me the bad side wants to get more boys become a queen of men, while the other wanted to be with Vince. I squinted at her and told her in a fed-up tone, "Yeah, fucking right, you bitch. You're just selfish and treat the hearts of men like toys. One day you're going to get seriously hurt because of this." She responded with, "I am a demon sent to stop her and Vince from becoming a couple. I was sent by Satan, apparently." It was like she mixed her religion with a plot of a shitty Disney sitcom. Her behavior was becoming more stalkerish. I remember her standing at the top of the stairs taking pictures of us eating lunch. We informed the learning administrator of her unhealthy behavior. The learning admin had her stay with him for lunch for a few days, but she was back on the prowl again. Walking about stalking him, sometimes I even caught her out of the corner of my eye looking at us, taking pictures. One day me and Vince get out early for lunch. About 2 weeks were left in school, so there wasn't really that much people out. We sat at a table, our new spot that was in public so we would have witnesses if anything was to happen. That's when I saw her standing behind a support beam, peering at us like a mad woman. I saw her mumbling quietly, which turned the creep factor up further. I got a general sense of unease in the pit of my stomach, even though it was the middle of the fucking day. I saw Jennifer and her clique walk by and asked her to sit down with us. When I informed her about what was going on, she understood why I asked her to sit with us. We needed more people to discourage her from coming to us. She got more visibly irate. The mumbling increased in speed. Everyone was feeling the feeling I got earlier. She stood there for 20 minutes, mumbling, looking at everyone at the table. We thought she would finally go away, but when Dustin arrived and I informed him what was happening, he was pissed and informed me he was going to kick Dee Dee's ass. I could believe this as he was at the moment he was about one belt down from a black belt. I told him to chill and I would handle this. That's when I saw her move along the dirt path towards the table. I quickly moved out with Dustin and intercepted. I asked her, "Why can't you go back to your friends?" She told me that her obsession with Vince drove them off and that she still blamed me for it. She darted around me only to be stopped by Dustin. I heard her scream at the top of her lungs, "Let me see him!" Dustin was getting ready to strike her down. I signaled him to cease. Jennifer had told him to jet to the end at school. When Dee Dee noticed he was gone, she grounded her teeth to the point that it was audible. She ran the fuck away and I called the other learning admin who wasn't close to her, one who I was sure who would punish her. She got suspended and we lived out the rest of our high school days with fun as exams were over and knowing Dee Dee was to have restricted movement around the school. But the shittiest thing happened. He went out with her again. Something about how someone guilt-tripped him back to going out with her. At this point, I couldn't take it and called him a fucking cuck. We would spend the first few of our summer days arguing about how he was making a mistake. He went on a trip to America, a part of some Christian field trip club. He saw how nice girls were compared to her in America. I forgot to mention I live in the Caribbean, which was the catalyst for the final breakup. Recently, I met a guy who is a good friend at my current school told me he went out with her only to expose her as the thought she is. Managing to get nudes from her and getting her to do some fucked up shit just for him, while also exposing her around the island and blacklisting her. She goes to the school too, she has no friends whatsoever. Everyone hates her, and when she walks by us, we always joke about how we feel a cold breeze whiz by.